It was the summer of 2018 when the small town of Pine Hollow, tucked deep in the mountains, became the center of a mystery that still has no answers. The town was quiet, surrounded by thick forests and narrow dirt roads, where most people knew each other by name. Tourists came in small numbers for hiking and fishing, but Pine Hollow was never the kind of place where strange things happened. At least, not until the day the Miller family disappeared. The Millers, Daniel, his wife Claire, and their 12-year-old son, Owen, arrived in Pine Hollow for a week-long vacation. They had rented a small cabin near the edge of the forest, close to a popular hiking trail known as Ridge Path. Locals often warned visitors that the trail could be confusing, especially in the late afternoon when the fog rolled in. But the Millers were experienced hikers, and Daniel had grown up in the countryside. They were confident they could handle it. On their third day, they left the cabin just before sunrise to hike Ridge Path. The weather was perfect clear skies, a light breeze, and the scent of pine in the air. A neighbor, an elderly woman named Mrs. Harper, saw them walking past her garden. She waved, and they waved back, cheerful and full of energy. That was the last confirmed sighting of them. By evening, when the sun began to set, the Millers had not returned. At first, no one panicked. Hikers often misjudged the time, especially in summer when the days were long. But by midnight, concern grew. The sheriff's department organized a search party with volunteers, flashlights, and dogs trained to track human scent. They followed the trail deep into the forest, calling out the Millers' names. The first strange detail came less than 2 miles in. The dogs suddenly stopped and refused to move forward. They whimpered, pulled back, and some even lay down on the ground, as if terrified. This was unusual. These were well-trained animals used to difficult conditions. The handlers tried coaxing them forward, but the moment they stepped past a certain point in the trail, the dogs began shaking and barking toward the trees. The searchers pushed on without them, following the path as it wound uphill. They found footprints, 3 sets matching the Millers. The prints were clear in the dirt, moving steadily along the trail. Then, just a few steps later, they ended. No signs of running, no struggle, no dragging marks. The ground was undisturbed, as if the family had simply vanished into thin air. The search continued for days. Volunteers combed every inch of the forest. Helicopters flew overhead, and divers checked nearby streams and ponds. Not a single piece of clothing, no backpacks, no food wrappers, nothing belonging to the Millers was ever found. The trail cameras set up by park rangers showed no sign of them after the morning they left. Then came the second strange detail. On the 6th day of the search, a deputy walking near the edge of the forest heard something faint like distant voices. He stopped, listening closely. The voices were soft, almost like whispers, and seemed to come from deeper inside the woods. He called out, but the voices stopped. When he took a few steps forward, the air grew colder, and he noticed the forest was completely silent. No birds, no insects, just stillness. The deputy later said it was the most unsettling feeling he'd ever experienced, as if something unseen was watching him. After 2 weeks, the official search was called off. The case was left open, but with no leads. It quickly became one of Pine Hollow's quiet legends. Some said the family had gotten lost and wandered far off the trail, though no evidence supported it. Others whispered about old stories passed down through generations, tales of certain parts of the forest where people walked in but never walked out. Months later, in the middle of autumn, a hunter reported seeing something unusual near Ridge Path. He claimed he spotted a man, woman, and child standing deep in the trees, perfectly still, staring in his direction. They didn't respond when he called out. Then, in the blink of an eye, they were gone. The hunter couldn't explain it. He was certain they had been there, but there were no footprints in the fallen leaves, and the forest floor was undisturbed. The Miller cabin remains empty to this day. Tourists still hike Ridge Path, but locals warn them not to stay too late. They say that when the fog comes in and the air turns cold, you might hear faint voices calling from the trees. If you do, you should never follow them because the Millers never came back, and no one knows where they went.